Bellator 216 live on DAZN came to you from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut, and a sold-out crowd saw flyweight Valerie Loureda make her professional debut against Colby Fletcher.
What was impressive about Loureda was the pressure that she brought forward. She was aggressive, she was throwing shots, and she was willing to take shots. And when she landed big, that was the difference in the fight. You saw her landing her hands, hiding her kicks behind her hands. It knocks Colby Fletcher down. She goes in with hammer fist and makes the referee stop that fight when it gets to a point that Colby cannot defend herself. That is an outstanding pro debut for Valerie Loureda.
An emotional victory for the 20-year-old, and next it was the undefeated Yaroslav Amosov welcoming Eric Silva to the Bellator cage in welterweight action.
And Eric Silva doing exactly what he's done throughout most of his fights, starting off fast, going after Amosov, landing good shots, controlling the pace and position of the fight. But it was the wrestling of Amosov that changed this fight. His kickboxing was strong, but his wrestling was great, and he kept bringing Silva to the ground, controlling position, controlling Silva's body. Nothing for Silva to do, no submission attempts ever, and it was the wrestling that made the difference in this fight. Amosov takes a unanimous decision victory over Eric Silva.
Amosov now 21-0 as a pro. Next, the former Bellator heavyweight champion Vitaly Minakov undefeated against Czech Congo in a rematch. Minakov beat Congo their first meeting almost 5 years ago.
He did, came into this fight with an undefeated record, but if there was one thing that you saw, he got tired. Czech Congo was very controlled in his fight, actually took a lot of the fight off, wasn't landing stuff, and then would explode with this big flurry to steal the rounds from Minakov. You look at what's happening at the end of the round here, look at the big knees, big shots by Congo. That was the difference in the judge's mind, and they award him a decisive unanimous victory.
In another heavyweight rematch, Mirko Cro Cop making his Bellator debut, looking to avenge a loss in 2011 to Roy Big Country Nelson.
Roy Nelson trying to utilize a wrestling strategy to control and bring Cro Cop to the ground, but he had a hard time getting in there. Cro Cop getting inside, landing big uppercuts, utilizing knee strikes, and that left kick to the body to slow Roy down. Watch this shot. That lands solid to the body, doesn't put Roy down, just shows how tough he is. But again, the uppercuts, that was the difference that what the judges saw in the fight. In the end, Roy was finally able to get into Cro Cop, get him to the ground, but there was not enough time left for him to do any damage on the ground. Mirko Cro Cop takes a unanimous decision victory.
And in the main event, the welterweight World Grand Prix continued as the undefeated Michael Venom Page took on compatriot Paul Semtex Daley in what was billed as the biggest grudge match in Bellator MMA history.
Well, you look at this fight, and it was not the striking battle that everyone was expecting, because Paul Daley came out with a very smart game plan. He wanted to stay away from Venom Page to the point where Venom Page would come towards him, and he would actually start to utilize the wrestling that he's worked on throughout his MMA career, but not used. He went after Venom, tried to end the rounds with a lot of flurries, but in the end, that wrestling kind of turned on him, got a little bit tired, and he was getting the takedown, but then he would get taken out of the position by Venom Page. Venom Page is working hard to try to change the position. Eventually he did. It was the middle rounds that Paul Daley was able to win. You watch the flying knee here, it goes right through the guard, it lands. That was the type of strikes that Paul Daley was unable to land. And when Venom Page got on top, Paul Daley was unable to get him off of him. He got back to his feet, but again, in taking him down, ended up on the bottom, and that was the end of the fight. The judges looking at this, it ends up 48-47 unanimous decision victory for Michael Venom Page.
For the latest Bellator news and information, go to Bellator.com or the Bellator app.
one of Ireland's most exciting MMA stars.
I'm coming here to finish every time.
James Gallagher returns to Dublin.
And it is over!
On February 23rd, he looks for another highlight reel finish when he faces bantamweight challenger Stephen Graham in front of his home crowd.
The hype is real!
This is my country.
Bellator MMA, February 23rd at 9 on the new Paramount Network.